So one of my students came to me and asked me about some low cost or no cost ways to generate real estate leads online. And so I want to come to you today and talk to you about the power of meetups for real estate agents. All right. So first and foremost, we have, I want to just introduce to you a couple of success stories of where this is happening. So we have one agent in my group. She has a Bunko group and she's had this for about 2.5 years now. And she basically is pulling 3 transactions from this Bunko group just in the last 3 months. I have another agent in the group who's been doing a real estate investment group meetup once a week. I think it's once every week, once a month. And she has lenders, lawyers, inspectors, investors, basically all of the real estate processes, the experts in real estate just coming and speaking once a month. And she does this and gets 1 to 2 deals a year from this group. And so it's very, very possible to be able to do this. And so I just want to make sure that we cover like all of the different ways. And I have a list here of how we can do that and what types of groups so that if you need inspiration, I'm just going to go ahead and give it to you. All right. So first and foremost is book clubs. So book clubs are an amazing way to do this. I have an agent in my community who is doing this with meeting basically a bunch of people at a local library. So it's completely free. And I also have someone who's doing this as a knitting or crafting group. We have photography groups, cooking or baking classes, wine tasting clubs, golf, tennis, running, walking clubs, cycling meetups, pickleball leagues, running or walking groups. And then we also have like church and religious groups. Just as a side note, Howard and I, my husband, I think in our church, we do about 3 to 4 small groups, sometimes in a week. And we've gotten a few leads from our church small group just organically. We don't, promote ourselves or anything like that in the group, but people know who we are. We meet with them every single week or every other month, depending upon which group it is. And so they just kind of come to us with their real estate needs. So that's a really, really good one that we've used also in the past. Parenting groups, volunteer organizations, neighborhood associations, like an HOA, for instance, garden clubs. This is an interesting one because gardening by default is typically a homeowner activity, right? So we actually do a bunch of gardening, my husband and I. And so we'll be out in the front yard and we happen to live on a corner. And so we are very, very visible to everybody who drives up and down the street. And when we're out like walking the dog or whatever, we'll be like, oh yeah, we live on the corner house, the one with the roses. And they're like, oh yeah. So they associate us with the house. They know where we are. They know where we live. And like, it's really, really a great source of leads for us. And if you're a gardener, get outside in the front, do the gardening in the front. Young professionals group. This is great for so as a juxtaposition, for instance, gardening may be like more of like a suburban or rural activity. If you live in a rural market, if you live in an urban or city market, a young professionals group, happy hour, those types of things, that'll work really, really well in like a downtown situation. Women's networking groups, entrepreneur meetups, local chamber of commerce events, real estate investment groups, just like the woman that I just showed you in my group, my community who's doing that. Tech meetups. This is really, really good if you live in like Palo Alto or, another community member that I have, an agent that I work with comes to mind. She is in like the Harvard area in Massachusetts. And so in those 2 markets, tech is really, really big. And so that's another way that you can kind of get in front of those types of leads. Language exchange groups. I have an agent in my community who's learning Italian. And so she basically goes and does language exchange with other people who are learning different languages. And so that's another good one. Workshops or skill building classes. This is huge. So the guy across the street from us, he actually converted his entire garage into a wood shop. And my husband loves woodworking. And so he goes over there and talks to the guy. And sure enough, he's like, hey, I need to sell my mom's property. Can you help me? So yeah, even though it's like a neighbor meetup, literally, and it's not planned, we've gotten leads from that. There's hiking clubs, fishing or boating groups, dog walking meetups, camping enthusiast groups, game nights. Game nights are huge, especially if you live in a tech community. A lot of those tech engineers, they love game nights. And so that's another big one. Art classes, painting nights, music jams or choirs. If you are a musician, I unfortunately cannot carry a tune in any stretch of the imagination. So if that's your thing, that's a really, really good one too. So when you're at these meetup groups, what you need to make sure that you're doing is you need to make sure that you are working the room. So you're not just kind of providing this space for fun. I mean, it is fun, but you're doing it for lead generation, right? So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to make sure that I'll just give you my example. So when I first became an agent in 2014, I would do happy hours. And so I would buy appetizers for the entire group, and they would buy their own drinks, and they would buy their own food if they wanted food. And I would just invite everybody to come and meet up at a local restaurant or a local bar. And it was super fun. I got tons and tons of leads. And then also over time, the group started to snowball. So it started off, the first one was like 2 people, and then it was like 10 people. And then by the time I was done, it was like 200 people. So I would basically go to these bars as we grew. I would go to these bars and be like, okay, so what's your slowest night of the week? Wednesday? Great. So then I would have these on Wednesday. I would fill up the bar for the owner, and they loved me for it. And the people loved meeting each other. And you can even hire a photographer, social media director, all of those things to kind of capture all of that for your marketing if you want to. Or like I said, I have an agent who is doing this completely for free in a local library and generating tons of leads, tons of sales, and tons of referrals from this local library meetup that she does completely for free. So you can go as much scaled as you want, or scale it down as little as you want as well, as far as your budget is concerned. But even if at $200 leads, at 200 attendees, my budget for the happy hour was still like $100 because I would just do like $100 worth of appetizers. And it was always like first come, first serve. And it worked out every single time. Okay. So make sure that you're working the room. That's like the biggest thing. Always have like a digital business card if you can. And, do it recurring so people can get to know, like, trust, and remember you. And the more that you do this, the more you're going to learn how to work the room. The more you're going to learn how to sell, and the more you're going to be able to build trust with these people so that by the time they're ready to buy or sell, you are the person that they think of. Okay. One other instance comes to mind when I did this was when I first started as a real estate agent back in 2014. I did a local meetup to show local businesses how to generate leads online. And that was like basically just a weekly thing that I did. And if I hadn't have done that, I wouldn't be able to do what I'm doing today after working with 15,000 local businesses online now. And you just never know where it's going to lead you. And I helped a bunch of people back in 2014. They were super, super happy. And I got lots of leads from that for my real estate business. And it was just something like I had a skill set and I wanted to share it with the world. And 12 years later, or whatever it is, I'm still doing it. So you never know, right? You never know who you're going to meet. You never know where it's going to lead to. So go ahead and try your next meetup, because you never know, your next client might come from one of these groups. All right, see you next time. Make sure to like and subscribe if you want more ideas like this.